welcome back to our series of interviews with Euro's brilliant members all over the world. It's a real pleasure to be back with Tobias Schoenborn from Vision Point. We've spoken twice since the pandemic began, but I didn't realise how long it's been. I was just looking back. It was the 2nd of June. So it's like 9 weeks ago. It doesn't seem like 9 weeks ago.
Long time.
It's a long time. And I mean, at that time, you were saying at that point, well, I want to know, first of all, how are things right now in Germany?
Everything's back on track. So Germany, I think, is doing pretty well. We had some local hotspots when it comes to COVID-19. But so far right now, it's summer season, summer vacation. Almost everybody's gone, or at least off, because there's no place where you can go. But it's quite nice. The weather is really nice and warm today, so it's really nice situation right now. Very relaxed.
I'm very pleased to hear it. I mean, when we spoke last time, you were saying this was at the beginning of June. One of the things that was kind of, a big issue was when the schools would open. I'm guessing that this is now summer vacation. Did the schools open again before now?
Kind of. It really depends on the city or location where you live and where the school is located. Some schools open for the classes, graduating or changing school next year. And some other schools, I heard from colleagues and friends that they have been there for 1 or 2 weeks, and then there's actually not much you can learn anymore in school. So a bit of mixed reality, but the plan is that school will open normally again as far as it is possible. So it starts in 1 week now that the first federal states are opening up again, like the summer vacation are ending and school is starting again.
Wow. So so when do schools normally go back across most of the states? End of August, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it depends, because we have some states, they start pretty early with the summer vacations, like Bavaria, Baden-Württemberg, the southern states, they start really late. They just start now with the summer vacation, going until mid-September.
Okay. And
the season starts end of June.
Right. Oh, it's very different across different parts.
Yeah, they try to spread the mass, that not like in France, everybody is off the same time.
Exactly. This has been a big debate in this country as well, because everyone, basically within a week, all schools shut at the same time and reopen at the same time. And of course, then you get
Paris is empty.
Exactly. So tell me, how are you doing in terms of work? When we spoke before, you were waiting for, I think, the 16th of June was one of the big deadline dates about the borders reopening. What's happened since then?
From the border perspective, Germany's pretty open again. Like, the Schengen area, the borders are open. From third countries, it's still kind of closed. The challenge is right now actually to get a flight instead of get into the country. Of course, you need an essential reason to come to Germany. So if it's for work, like for assignees, or for like people having a local labor contract and moving to Germany, this is not an issue. But it might be an issue if there are family members coming at the same time, and if there's no real reason behind it. So business traveling is still not possible.
That's very interesting. So the assignee at the moment, you can assist the assignee to come in, but it's the rest of the family, the children, that's more difficult, right?
Yeah, first you need to get the assignee to the country. You need to register him at the local town hall, at the immigration office, so he becomes a resident, and then you can do the family reunion part and get the family over. That's the easiest approach. And otherwise, it's a lot of arguing. It really depends on the officer at the airport.
Right.
And the other issue is also the airlines. We had quite a lot of issues that the airlines wouldn't let the people board the plane because they said, no, you're not German, you cannot travel to Germany. Even if from an immigration perspective, everything was fine. But there are various issues you need to consider.
Yes, that's very interesting. I mean, I know that's been happening somewhat here, but not quite so much. So that is very interesting. I mean, from that point of view, Are you seeing the assignments start again for third country nationals, or are you more or less just dealing with the kind of compliance visa stuff that we were talking about last time we spoke?
No, business is getting more and more back on track. So we have more and more clients who now continue with their assignees and say, well, now we can start, and they just come in October or September, whatever. And this is what we see now, what is more and more common. So the companies, they cannot wait any longer. They waited half a year, so they need to continue with their business.
That is very interesting, and that's obviously, I'm hearing that from a lot of people. I'm sure you are as well when you talk to your colleagues. And how are things working out in terms of your ability to access local bureaucracies? Are all the offices back open? Are they back up to speed?
Unfortunately not. With our posted worker office, which is mainly located here, besides of the immigration relocation team, people are back, but not 100% yet. So many of them only part-time, like working 50%. And from the visa offices like Frankfurt, Munich, and also Berlin, a lot of people are still at home because the visa volume is missing. And but immigration is also back on track. Posted worker is going in the right direction. Like the numbers increase each week. Right now we have a bit of kind of decline because of the summer season and because it's vacation time. And we wait for the big countries like China to open borders again. There's a lot of discussions on the governmental level, and that's what we are now waiting for.
That's it again. So from that point of view, does the government still have restrictions in place in terms of quarantines for certain countries, or is it everybody from third country nationals? Or
yeah, no, there are a lot of discussions going on also about the people coming back from vacation from Spain or wherever they went to, that they do the corona tests at the airport. And for third country nationals, there's actually a list published by the German government, which says that people from certain countries need to go into quarantine, and other secure countries, so they call them, they can directly enter the country and just do whatever they would like to do.
Yeah, that's yeah, go on, sorry.
No, they are very flexible also. So depending on the local health authority, if you are from a risk country, you can do like the COVID-19 test, and if it's negative, you don't need to go or stay in quarantine any longer. So it's quite a good solution, I think.
It's very interesting when you look at how, you know, European countries are structured. I mean, certainly at the moment, it's like Germany and Spain with very high autonomy within your governments from state to state. They're able to make those kind of more localized decisions. Certainly here at the moment, I'm sure, I don't know whether you've seen, but now suddenly we're saying, the government's saying 14-day quarantine if you're coming back from Spain. It's changing on a daily basis, and of course it's more or less national.
It's very, I think, a good solution, at least. We need to see, because it's very dynamic, the situation, and changing all the time. And even in Germany, within the last few days, or I think everywhere within Europe, the numbers are increasing again with people. And maybe you notice we had even here like a big local hotspot in Gütersloh, at a place.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there were like 1,000 of people infected at a fabric, and there was like local shutdown, and
right.
It also affected us because some of our clients, they had the headquarters in this region, and then of course they couldn't travel for 2 weeks. But very interesting development.
It's very interesting how these local outbreaks are kind of, we live quite near a military base, there's an airplane going on. It's very interesting how these localized outbreaks have been in very specific industries. Like when we spoke before, just after we spoke, I think there was a big outbreak in the meat processing plant.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And now you're saying about the fabric factories, and this is what happened here. There's a city in the middle of England called Leicester, which was locked down again for 3 weeks, I think, really recently. And again, that outbreak came from the textile manufacturing sector. And there's a lot of kind of speculation that it wasn't being run properly, and people weren't self-isolating appropriately. But is that what you're seeing in Germany as well? The very localized.
Yeah, it's localized, and that's what the government is trying to not to do, is to do a second shutdown, because this will be really not good for all of us if there's a second shutdown. So the plan is to have like a local shutdown, and also the testing capacities are now up and running at every airport. When you come and enter the country, you can do like a on-the-spot check, and 3 hours later you have the result. So there's a lot of going on, and of course everybody's waiting for the medicine against corona, that you can treat it, and so that's the plan, to wait.
I mean, that's one thing that's changed a lot since we spoke in June. There's a lot more positivity around the vaccine programs that are happening in Oxford. Here in the UK, it's been very successful, and more approaches in terms of effective treatment. So that leads me on to my sort of final question. How is the mood in Germany? How are the German people feeling now? I mean, it's 5-6 months into this.
There's still a lot of uncertainty, because now you see also more and more the results from the economy side. So companies which weren't in a good mood before Corona, they could now like step the 3 months because of the governmental help they get. But now you see more and more companies shutting down, or they need to fire people. And that's, I think, a bit what makes people feel uncertain, and also really depends on the industry you are in, because Germany obviously is very strong in automotive, but we all know the issues were there before Corona. So there's now a big change, and also in our industry we see, as mentioned the last time, so digitalization is an important topic, and that's also what we try to focus, where we try to put our efforts on to be there for our clients digitally, like online through webcams, webinars, and all this kind of stuff. So we don't need to travel to them before, and we do, of course, more and more online meetings with them, even like pitches.
It's going to be very interesting to see how much of that lasts into the next 2-3 years, whether things will really fit. What's your thing?
The good news, I read today a study about a study, and it says like once Corona is over, once we are over the top of the mountain, things will normalize again very quickly. So business travel will be up and running again. People don't care anymore about the distancing. It might have a huge impact, but the study says like that 2/3 they forget about everything. They will continue as before. So
I think you're right. I do. And that study that's a very interesting study. I haven't seen that, but certainly the very similar ones have been published in the UK. The sector which is going to be hardest hit in the long term here, it seems now, is retail, is shops.
Retail, not tourism.
Yeah.
Here it's of course tourism has a huge impact, and retail, of course, the online retail is booming. Like all the online shops, Amazon is the best example, and all the smaller shops, and like also, not handyman, but they kind of struggle, which are not digitalized the industry sector.
Yeah, that's very similar here as well. So, I mean, so how, in terms of tourism, which is obviously huge for every country, are tourists coming to Germany? I mean, it's a safe place to come right now.
They are not allowed to come here.
Right.
The third country nationals, of course, the Europeans. I think most people, they like to stay in their countries.
Yeah, we were just saying that before we. Yeah.
But it's open, and I hear a lot of people, like friends, traveling around, being to Paris, to Prague, to all the nice cities, and they say it's awesome. The city's empty. you don't need to stand in line to go in a museum, but on the other side, personally, I don't like the masks.
Right.
I have to stay in a museum for 8 hours with a mask on. No way.
Yeah, exactly. It's changing things, and it's interesting. Are masks mandatory in public now in Germany?
Not in public, but in like public transport or in the supermarket, in like stores, but not yet in public as in other countries.
Sure. It's very interesting. I was talking to Martina Scharwey, who lives in Frankfurt. She's our strategic consultant for quality. And she was in London 2 weeks ago with her daughter sorting out some accommodation from the university. And she was astonished that no one was wearing masks on the buses, in the shops. That's changed as of last week, but I think has it been more normal in Germany to see people wearing masks?
It is very normal now, unfortunately. I don't know, I don't like it, but of course, obviously it's good for health and for the environment, but also I think personally it's a matter of getting used to it, because I never need to wear it. I don't have the issue.
Yeah, it's okay for an hour or so, but after that it does.
Yeah, to do grocery shopping it's fine, but not for a whole day.
Tobias, thank you so much. It's been really good to catch up with you again. Let's catch up again sort of at the end of September and see where we are, moving into the autumn.
Well, that's a good point, because then I think everybody's back on track, and our plan is that business, at least Europe-wide, is maybe normalizing again. So we are on a good track. Like the numbers, they just increase, but we're still missing a bit.
I was going to ask you that. So your numbers are going back, but in terms of your forecasts, I mean, when the pandemic hit hard, end of February, beginning of March, when you did your forecasting, are you better than you thought you would be back then, right now?
We are better because we were very careful with the forecast.
So are we.
For the secure approach. But now the summer gap is risky, and we thought that visa might increase a bit faster, but really, like, China is still closed.
See, that's
There are some chartered flights to China, so we do a few visas, but I don't know, still it's maybe 5 visas a day, and before it was like 200 visas a day.
Wow.
Big difference.
Yeah, that's a big hit. Well, like I say, let's catch up in September and see where we are then, and hopefully things will have changed. Let's hope that things continue on an upward curve. And
yeah, definitely.
And
will you send a calendar entry, or
say
will you send a new calendar entry for September?
Yes,
or?
Absolutely, I'll do that. Yeah. Definitely.
So,
it's great to see you again, and thank you so much for taking part. And in the meantime, have a good summer. I hope the weather is good.
At least it looks outside very nice and warm.
It's sunny. It's cold. It's not warm yet. But listen, great to see you. Thanks again, and we'll catch up in the early autumn.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Bye bye.